Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Toad got new headshots, Kamek qualified for SAG, and Yoshi wants you to come to his one-man show. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by the venerable Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
Whoa! I've been upgraded from co-host to venerable. It's going great.
The venerable.
That's right. It's a title. Patrick, I think you and I are on this show, and in real life, but
True.
On this show, we are quirky, right? We're lovable weirdos.
Oh, all right.
But the thing is that audience members are getting our listeners are getting just like a slice of weirdness, right?
Yeah, all right.
Like before we started recording this
but
show.
it's a concentrated slice.
It's a concentrated slice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody wants more. But I'm just, before we started recording, we do, we're doing mic checks.
Mm-hmm.
And they are sometimes just so bizarre.
Yes.
Singing songs from Alice in Wonderland.
For example.
That I guess what I'm saying is like, listeners, no matter how weird you think we are, I guarantee you.
Yeah. Far stranger still. Yeah. And I think, I don't think there's anything wrong with us being weirder than we let on.
No, it's just the mask we all wear, right?
Yeah, that's right. Mark, speaking of masks that we all wear, my copy of Sonic Forces, would you like to borrow it? All you gotta do is email us nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and tell us where we're sending this. My copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. It doesn't cost you a thing. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there. Nothing to be done about it. You just got to play that or not play it in the same amount that you would have played Sonic Forces, or more or less or not at all, and then send it back. It's the perfect borrowing program.
The other thing you can do is you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us a lot. It helps people find the show. And Patrick and I really enjoy reading every review. We appreciate it so much. Thank you to everybody who has left us a review before. If you leave us a review on the U.S. Apple Podcast Store, we'll give you a shout out on the show. If you leave us a review anywhere else, please email us or hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to give you recognition on the show.
Yeah, a shout out, if you will. Mark, remember when we used to give big ups?
I do. I feel like big ups went the way of guest weather. Occasionally one sneaks in, but rarely.
Okay, all right. So we're not going to make an effort to bring back big ups, but like if it happens.
Right.
All right, great. One last thing. October, which we are basically upon us, right? It is basically October. October is Game & Watch month. We are devoting most of our programming in October to Nintendo's original handheld. We will be discussing Game & Watch for most of the month.
Yeah, I feel like we should probably just like come clean.
Oh yeah,
because we're talking up Game & Watch is October. Next week is October.
Right.
We're not actually doing a Game & Watch thing next week.
That's right. We are going to that is next week is our 5-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We have done this show for 5 years, so we're going to do something special for that. But then the weeks following are all going to be Game & Watch related. If you have any Game & Watch topics you would like us to discuss, or if you would like to share your Game & Watch memories with us, email us nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. I'm very excited. We recorded our first episode, which required a little bit of unfamiliarity with Game & Watch. That is already... It's waiting for you. It's going to be great. But I've been playing. I'm very excited to discuss these things as not an expert, but at least someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm really excited for Game & Watch month as well. That's why I know listeners are really excited for Game & Watch month.
You're right.
And so I just wanted them to be aware that like October is Game & Watch month.
Yes.
But next week is not Game & Watch week.
Right. You just don't want to make us liars.
Yeah.
even though we're sort of retroactively making ourselves liars for the last.
We're coming clean.
Coming clean. All right, Mark, let's stop fooling around. Let's cast the Mario movie in different decades. Now, obviously, we got the news that the Super Mario Brothers movie has been cast. The voice cast was announced during the Nintendo Direct just last week. Was that just last week?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, we got 2 emails about this from listeners that I think are good entry points. So first from Lizzie. Lizzie writes, "Hello to you both. Hope all is well. Well, I hope all is as well as it can be now that we hold the knowledge that Mario will be doing, quote, a lot of talking in the upcoming movie, per Nintendo. I know you posted a reaction episode, but as of my sending this, I haven't had a chance to listen yet. Apologies if I repeat anything that you've gone over already. I don't know about you guys, but I have found a lot of joy and laughter in reading out classic Mario lines in my best Chris Pratt movie action guy voice. I encourage you to take a moment right now and try it. It might even make you laugh." It made me laugh at least. Okay, so it's like it's a me Mario. Is that a good Chris Pratt? I don't even know.
It made me laugh.
Okay, very, very good. So it counts. Lizzie goes on to say, also, I like to imagine him doing that thing he does in Jurassic World with the Velociraptors, but it's Mario interacting with Yoshi. Clever dino alien thing. His name would obviously be green instead of blue. Yeah. This is all
that's
correct.
the stuff where he like has his hands out.
Yep, and there's like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's like 3 Yoshis, and they're all like one's pink, one's blue, one's red.
Right.
And he's like, whoa, whoa.
She goes on to say, anyway, I am seriously concerned about how I will feel the moment I see Mario appear on screen, open his mouth, and movie star Chris Pratt's voice comes out instead of the usual Italian delivery. Guess we'll have to wait and find out. I think Jack Black will be fun as Bowser. Lizzie, I agree. I sort of think Jack Black... Like, I just like Jack Black.
Just a fun guy.
Just a fun guy. And also, there's no context in which he's ridiculous. You're just like, yes. Like, that's... him doing his shtick is ridiculous. She says, thanks for playing along with me, as always. Thanks for the great podcast. Thank you, Lizzie, for writing in. Good observations.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better handle on Chris Pratt's voice to do the Mario sayings in that voice. Corbin also wrote in with a sort of more broad overview of the cast. He says, good morning. Now that the Mario cast is out, and as you said, it is the most shocking aspect of the Direct, I wanted to share my brief impressions. So we're going to go through one by one. Chris Pratt as Mario. Worst casting of the bunch, but not altogether terrible. Chris Pratt is the most generic and unexciting voice you could make for a protagonist, but that is kind of true about Mario as well. He's a blank slate character who's supposed to be the default character, though what does that say about the societal rot that Chris Pratt is considered by Hollywood to be our default? I don't know if I see any rot in that necessarily, but I like the take that it's the worst casting of the bunch. He writes Charlie Kelly as Luigi. It's Charlie Day. Charlie Kelly is the character's name on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. As Luigi, best casting in the bunch. Every role Charlie has ever been in, I think. He likes them, and he had extreme Luigi energy.
Fair.
Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. I think Illumination just threw a dart at a board at whichever Netflix show was trending on social media the day they did casting. She's a good actress, but a totally random pick, which I think unfortunately dictates how little either Nintendo or Illumination cares about the character. Tough criticism from Corbin.
Yeah.
Just a couple more. Yeah.
Mind you, he said that Chris Pratt was the worst of the bunch.
Right.
But he really burned the casting of Anya Taylor-Joy.
Really burned it.
Yeah.
Jack Black as Bowser. Great casting, I think. He's the modern, awkward, gruff hipster dad with a little chaotic energy.
Everybody loves Jack Black.
Everyone loves Jack Black. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I just want to hear him shout, I'm the best! And then there's a couple more, but those are all the big ones.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, Paul. So, yeah, I think everyone has some sort of like reactions here to the casting announcement from the Mario movie. Thank you, Lizzie and Corbin, for writing in. It is good to get other sort of perspectives as we take on the task that we have set before ourselves.
Yeah, and I think, so what we're going to be doing is we are saying if this Mario animated movie was made in different eras,
Yes.
what would the cast be? Kind of taking the idea of, okay, like we were saying in our previous episode, the cast of the Mario movie is so of its time.
So very much of its time.
And so if we were to take it to different eras, who would the cast be?
Right. And look, do we already know that there was a Mario movie in the 1990s?
Yes.
But I would not have said John Leguizamo and what's his name? Eddie Valiant from Roger Rabbit. His name,
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins, thank you. I would not have said that like that's Mario and Luigi. I would not have said those are quintessential 90s actors or even quintessential 80s actors. The movie came out in 1990. So what the way that we're approaching it is, and Mark, we had a brief exchange about this morning, but like it's equal parts who are like people that represent that era in movies and who would actually be good at it.
Yeah. Yes. I would say I just have to be honest. I don't know that I picked necessarily people who I think would be good at it.
All right, good,
But I
good.
definitely picked people that I think would be cast.
Sure.
And it would make for an interesting movie, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we should do here is we should go through just the eras that we're talking about.
Fair.
And then we should run down the cast, like the parts that we are going to cast, and then we will go back and forth. We will figure out what exactly we like for all of these casts, and I think we should just decide on one cast per era.
I think so too.
Like between us, we'll cobble together. We'll Frankenstein one together.
Yeah.
So we will be approaching the golden age of Hollywood, which for our purposes is going to be like anything in the studio era, like 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s.
And 50s too, if you want to.
Fine. Did I skip the 50s? Does it make any sense?
But yeah, basically from
Yeah.
the dawn of movies to the 1970s, we're just calling the golden age of Hollywood.
Right. And then the 1970s will be its own separate slice of cinema, sort of the era of like the auteur and like the kind of grungy, artist director. And then the 1980s, the 1990s, and the aughts, which for my purposes, I was treating as mostly from 2000 to 2009.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, great. The parts that we are casting: Mario, Peach, Luigi, Bowser, Donkey Kong, Toad, which I feel like are the main six, the core six. And then if we want to, if we have time, or if we are so inspired, we will cast a random villain in the current Mario movie that's Kamek, but we don't have to necessarily choose Kamek if we don't want to. A random Donkey Kong character. In the new movie, it is Cranky Kong. Fred Armisen is playing Cranky Kong because why not? And then a random good guy, which I guess I'm assuming that Spike, their boss, is a good guy character. So that'll be the third sort of like rando grab bag sort of thing that we can pull.
Yep.
All right. So we are going to start in the 1980s. And Mark, let's just talk a little bit. Do you want to start with Mario?
Yeah, let's just go down the order.
Okay. Who do you have as the quintessential 80s guy to play Mario?
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck is a really good pull. He's got that mustache. I have two picks here.
Okay.
And I want to hear you sell me on Tom Selleck as well. But my picks are either Bill Murray or Bruce Willis. Now, I go with I think Bruce Willis I think Bill Murray would be better, but I think Bruce Willis fits the Chris Pratt mold about as closely as anyone could. He's a comedy guy. He's a goofball who became an action star, right?
Is Bruce Willis a goofball?
He was when he was on Moonlighting.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
He premiered to the world as a comedic actor, and then Die Hard was like a turn for him from goofball to action star. So that's why I think he like is the most Chris Pratty. And then Bill Murray is Bill Murray. And I just sort of like trace the Ghostbusters of it all, where it's like he's a comedian, but he can also do like a big budget action movie kind of thing too.
One thing that I just want to clarify is we're saying in all of these eras, even if it's maybe not era appropriate, these are animated films. Is that correct? So these people are providing the voice. It's not like a live
correct.
action. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, Patrick, that we might have to go with Bruce Willis because I also have Bruce Willis, but for a different era.
Oh my God.
So
for what era?
So it makes me think
Uh-huh.
that maybe for the 80s, we should go ahead and do Bruce Willis.
Sure. So Bruce Willis, we are putting as our Mario. We're already off to an amazing start. Princess Peach.
I have Molly Ringwald.
Oh, Molly Ringwald's so good, and she's like the quintessential like 80s girl next door.
Yeah,
right?
because one of the things. So I had Tom Selleck as Mario,
Right.
And I do have like older. Looking at this, I mostly have older people in the cast for the 80s, but you're like, I don't know, trying to put myself in the mindset of like, it's the 80s, the late 80s, Mario just came out, I'm going to make, this movie.
Sure.
It's probably geared towards kids, and so that's why I was like, oh, Molly Ringwald, like younger, more probably outside the like specific market of the Nintendo Entertainment System, but that was why.
But you want to bring those teens in,
Yes,
the teens
yeah,
who
exactly.
love the John Hughes movies and they've seen her in everything.
Mhm.
Molly Ringwald is a great pitch for Peach.
Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, there you go. I picked Sigourney Weaver again. I think I've got Ghostbusters on the brain. And Alien is 79, but like it's
Sigourney Weaver
Yeah.
would be such a funny Princess Peach. I'm just imagining her delivery and like because I love Sigourney Weaver. She does not have the like Princess Peach energy. Not
Yeah.
saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like
no,
as
it would be
portrayed-
a different take
it
on
would
the
be a
character.
different take for sure.
All right, so I think we're gonna go with Molly Ringwald.
Okay.
I think that's the winning choice. No disrespect to Sigourney Weaver.
No.
In fact, maybe we even put her somewhere else on this cast. Who knows?
Who knows?
Luigi. Mark, I think I've got a trump card here.
Okay.
I think I know exactly who from the 1980s plays Luigi. It's Rick Moranis.
Oh, that's so good.
Am I still casting Ghostbusters? Maybe.
I love this a lot. Here's my pitch.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox.
Oh, that's also good. I mean, I feel like that's better representative of the era, but maybe less because Michael J. Fox plays confident characters.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like Marty McFly is a hyper confident character. Alex P. Keating, right? Am I right?
Oh, from Family Ties?
From Family Ties?
I've never watched an episode of Family Ties.
Very good. He's a confident, argumentative little prick in that too. But I feel, and I mean, there's also an element of like wish fulfillment here with Rick Moranis. He doesn't really work anymore. It'd be great to have gone back in time 30 years and see him voice Luigi in the Mario movie.
I just really like Rick Moranis, so I mean, it's hard for me to say no to that.
Yeah. Rick Moranis is going on as our Luigi. Bowser. So I don't love this pick.
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
Quintessential 80s dude.
For sure.
And a quintessential like 80s action dude. And at that point, still like frequently playing bad guys.
Yeah. I don't hate the pitch of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would challenge. Is he more of an 80s or a 90s pick? I guess he really kind of like
he straddles, yeah.
He straddles both.
But I think he takes on a different quality in the 90s. In the 90s, he's funnier. And he's always a good guy. But like Terminator 1
Yeah, that's right.
is
that's right.
like 85 or something.
So here is my pitch. And I didn't really love mine either, but it's James Earl Jones. And I think he would bring a certain gravitas to Bowser that we're definitely not seeing with, like Jack Black is going in a different direction.
Right.
But I think James Earl Jones would bring like a sinister quality to it, similar to what he provides
as Darth Vader. Now, I do have James Earl Jones as Bowser in a different decade. But I think it's probably more genuinely at home in the 1970s or in the 1980s. I think you're right to characterize James Earl Jones as an 80s actor and not necessarily a 70s actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. James Earl Jones. And I am copying that.
So Donkey Kong is our next character. And for Donkey Kong in the 1980s, I have Rodney Dangerfield. No stranger to comedies,
Yep.
no stranger to voiceover roles.
Yep.
I
loved Rover Dangerfield.
I mean, you have a heart. I just think Rodney Dangerfield, because Donkey Kong to me has very kind of like bumbling energy.
Yeah.
He's a big doofus. He's a himbo. Donkey Kong is like
total
a
himbo.
himbo. And when you think himbo, you think Rodney Dangerfield, right?
I don't think Rodney Dangerfield has the hunk factor.
Fair.
He's
rude, but fair.
Well, but also just fair, just accurate. My pick is maybe a little bit too self-assured, a little bit too cool. But I think he could pull it off because he's a big ball of charisma. I'm going Kurt Russell.
Oh,
for Donkey Kong.
I think it's a different take on Donkey Kong, but also the Donkey Kong of the 80s is not the Donkey Kong of Donkey Kong Country.
Right.
The Donkey Kong of the 80s is like a big confident like machismo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes.
We're going to go with Kurt Russell?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. Also, man, I love Kurt Russell. He's so good in everything. And the 80s, he was killing it.
Yeah.
That's The Thing. That's Big Trouble in Little China. That's Escape from New York. It's Overboard. Like, he's so good in the 1980s and all the time. He's great all the time. Next up is Toad. Mark, my pick for Toad for the 1980s is Chevy Chase.
That's really funny. My pick was Martin Short.
Ooh.
Because when I think,
yep,
like little annoying guy,
yep,
in the 1980s,
yeah, you got to go Martin Short. Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. I think they're both good. I think there are any number of like SNL heavies from the 80s that you could pick for Toad, and I like. Toad for me is one of the best like wild cards on this cast list, where you're just like, who can I put in here who I sort of don't like, but I also love.
Well, I think, and I like Keegan-Michael Key a lot, but it's like him being cast as Toad opened a lot of doors because you're just like, great, like Toad can be anything.
Yeah, Toad can be anything.
Yeah.
I think let's go with Martin Short. I think that's a better cast than Chevy Chase.
What is the name of that Martin Short movie where he plays a small child?
Yeah, Clifford.
Oh, that movie gives me hives.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, of course.
Yeah,
it's unsettling to see a grown man
grossly unfunny.
Yeah.
Deeply
yes
unfunny.
And then they didn't learn their lesson and they did Dear Evan Hansen. Mark, do you have any picks for any of these like ancillary characters?
No, I don't really, but I do wonder if there's room for some of the characters we didn't pick, or some of the people that we liked and were up for casting, like Tom Selleck, Michael J. Fox, but who didn't make the cut for the main characters.
Right. So I have a couple that I did pick here. I'm just gonna fire them off. You can say whether any of them like pass the smell test and you actually like them. Swanky Kong, played by Steve Martin. Stanley the Bugman from Donkey Kong 3, played by Eddie Murphy. And Bowsette, played by Elvira. But so none of these I feel like are super strong.
Bowsette played by Elvira, like I can get behind.
Okay,
that.
all right. You want to get Bowsette in there, played by Elvira, and I don't know if that means that there is like a part in the movie where James Earl Jones turns into like the James Earl Jones Bowser turns into Bowsette Elvira, or if it's just a separate character.
Right.
It's not our job here to write the movie. It's just a casting.
Right. Solid point.
So, would you like to try to find a home for, like Michael J. Fox, as like Diddy Kong, or anything like that?
No, I'm content. I'm content
Okay,
with the
great.
1980s.
All right, so that the cast of the 1980s, Mario is played by Bruce Willis, Peach is played by Molly Ringwald, Luigi is played by Rick Moranis, Bowser is played by James Earl Jones, Donkey Kong is played by Kurt Russell, Toad is played by Martin Short, and Bowsette is played by Elvira. Next, Mark, we are going to be moving to the golden age of Hollywood, everything from the 1960s and earlier. I'll confess that this was a little tough for me. It's an era of cinema that obviously we know about, but it's always, you're always visiting it from a pretty comfortable distance,
Yep.
right? So I'm gonna come right out the gate with my Mario pick. I go James Dean.
That I could get behind a sexy Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like a James Dean sexy Mario,
Uh-huh.
where you're like, what's going on here?
Because I'm imagining, yes, because you're seeing Mario
Uh-huh.
and James Dean's voice coming out of Mario.
Right. That's sexy.
Like,
That's
yeah,
sexy.
like, you don't really know how to feel, but you're feeling a lot.
Yeah.
So my pick was Humphrey Bogart.
Okay. So
Bringing a little of that
yeah.
older, like Bob Hoskins energy to the role.
Right, a little like world weary
Uh-huh.
Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. These are both great. I don't know which way to go on this.
Like I'm imagining like it's like a Mario film, but maybe a little like film noirish,
yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Although my other picks don't necessarily back that up. But Humphrey Bogart specifically, I'm thinking like Maltese Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. How do you want to go on this? You want to go?
I mean, these are two diametrically opposed
it's true.
picks.
Do we want to sit on it while
Let's
we cast
sit on
the
it
rest?
for a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, because
Okay.
let's cast the rest and then we'll see which one actually fits better for our film.
Okay. Peach. Princess Peach.
I have Shirley Temple.
Very young.
Very young,
Mhm.
really bringing the but I feel really bringing that like peach energy.
Sure. That like
Very positive.
yeah. Well, so I sort of go the same direction, but not quite so young. I go Anne Margaret. I'm led by Bye Bye Birdie on this, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, just this like energetic and like a ball of charisma. I think. The Shirley Temple is just such a child. She's just a child, right?
I like Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
I think it could be funny to see Anne Margaret play off of both Humphrey Bogart or James Dean. So I think Anne Margaret is a great pick.
Okay, so we're going with Anne Margaret. Luigi.
James Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Uh-huh.
Mark, we are simpatico on this one.
No
That is
way!
exactly who I picked.
Makes
which
complete sense.
means it's the only right choice. He would be stammering. He would be scared of everything.
Uh-huh.
He would be running away from planes dive bombing him in a cornfield.
No, that's not Jimmy Stewart.
That's not Jimmy Stewart.
No.
But man, that voice.
Oh yeah,
It'd be perfect.
yes, really perfect for Luigi.
Bowser.
Another one where I don't love this pick.
Okay.
So why don't you go first?
Orson Welles.
Oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I don't even want to say mine. That's so good. That's 100% what we should do. Just because it's the rules of the game, I will say mine, which is Peter Lorre.
Oh, also good.
But compared to like, I'm just imagining Orson Welles as Bowser, and it's
Yeah.
difficult. I think across any decade we have, it's going to be difficult to top that.
Yeah, well, because it's just, I feel like he could play the Bowser that we see in the games.
Uh-huh.
That is like both a genuinely scary presence, but also like just a little bit strange and weird. Where you're like, wait, what is with this guy's weird insecurities? Like. I mean, first of all, Orson Welles could just play anything, right?
Yeah,
like,
so
he's just a genius.
And if you've never heard like Orson Welles talk, especially, I mean, in earlier in his career, like Citizen Kane and those sorts of movies, definitely has a very specific voice to him. But in his later years, when he was doing like whiskey commercials and that sort of stuff, it's just this really deep, almost like rumbling, like thunder type voice that is so like specific and carries with it such like it's not even really like gravitas, but it just like it just carries like weight.
It's otherworldly,
Uh-huh.
right? Like he would be recognizably playing a non-human character in this world. So we're going with Orson Welles. I also feel good about my Donkey Kong, but I want to hear yours.
Okay, Babe Ruth. I think Babe Ruth is doing a small walk-on role
Yeah.
as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
I've got Brando, Marlon Brando. Bring in that Streetcar Named Desire energy. Just like a raw
On the waterfront.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, but Babe Ruth, I mean, that feels almost more true to the, you know what I mean? To like the exercise.
I mean, I just feel like, look, Babe Ruth is famously not an actor.
Right, yes.
Right? But as far as stunt casting goes in the golden age of Hollywood, having Babe Ruth in your movie,
Yeah.
and like as Donkey Kong, it's a small part.
Yeah,
Babe
yeah.
Ruth's not an actor,
Right.
but he's a name.
All right, he's going on. Babe Ruth. Sorry, Brando. Next up, Toad.
I have Edwin,
Oh, Edwin's so good.
who listeners might know is like the voice of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Keeps coming up.
Did a lot of did a lot of voices for Disney and others. Was in Mary Poppins as the uncle who like was on the ceiling because he was laughing.
Yep.
Another like very distinct voice would be a very distinct take on Toad, but that's my pick, Edwin.
But it's a good silly energy. I went not quite as silly, but like strangely in the same sort of wheelhouse as what you're talking. I said Dick Van Dyke. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's not enough like he has personality, but he has like everyman personality, and I feel like Edwin is probably a better pull there.
Toad it just had the Toad in my mind that I'm casting. It's like, well, obviously they're not going to talk like Toad,
Right.
but they should probably talk crazy. It's
Right.
kind of how I approach this.
Yeah, no, and I think that's legit. They should probably talk crazy. Okay, now we have to go back and figure out this Mario dilemma.
Oh, right. Yeah, we punted on that.
So Bogart or Dean?
Okay, well, you're playing against James Stewart.
Uh-huh.
You're playing against Orson
Orson Welles.
You're playing against Anne Margaret.
Right. And Edwin. Oh boy. I don't know which way to go here.
The one thing I will say is I think that compared to like James Stewart, James Dean might be too young.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's go with Bogart. Humphrey Bogart. Mark, do you have any other of the ancillary characters that you would like to
How about
cast?
Shirley Temple for Toadette?
Shirley Temple for Toadette is great. I also want to put Elvis in this thing. I don't know what he plays.
Okay, this is yes, definitely. Actually,
Is there a musical Kong that he could play?
Funky is probably the closest, but I actually think that Elvis would be Donkey Kong. Elvis Presley would be Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, no, that's way better than Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
And it means like obviously a different take on Donkey Kong, but he would just be Elvis.
Yes.
But man, no, I love Shirley Temple as Toadette.
I'm
that's
just
perfect.
imagining the trailer, right, where it's like
Mhm.
Edwin as Toad and Elvis Presley as
Donkey
Kong.
Kong, yeah.
And that just feels right.
It does. All right, so running through the cast, is there anyone else that you wanted to toss in there? I feel like that's good. I think we nailed
I
it.
feel like that's good.
Humphrey Bogart as Mario, Anne Margaret as Peach, Jimmy Stewart as Luigi, Orson Welles as Bowser, Elvis as Donkey Kong, Edwin as Toad, and Shirley Temple as Toadette. Really killing it here. We are moving now to the 1970s, kind of like a darker era for
this
film.
one I found a little bit difficult.
I kind of did too. I landed on a Mario Luigi duo. That is a duo of the era, a comedy duo of the era. And so I'm just going to lead off with it. Richard Pryor as Mario, Gene Wilder as Luigi.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so good.
And I know they didn't cast a duo in the current Mario movie. They're two guys that like run in different comedy circles. They're both funny guys,
right?
Charlie Day and Chris Pratt, but like they don't do the same stuff. But Pryor and Wilder are my Mario and Luigi from the 70s.
I think that's so good. My Mario is was Roy Scheider, the from Jaws.
Right, yeah, I love it.
And my Luigi is Mark Hamill.
Oh, that's good too.
Well, Mark Hamill has
That's like late 70s,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. Mark Hamill has kind of like the his energy is like different from Luigi, where he's a little more like I mean, love Mark Hamill, but Luke Skywalker in the first movie, like a little bit whiny. You know, I
Totally.
think who would I rather see? I would rather see Richard Pryor
And Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the few times where I'm just going to assert my correctness.
Yeah, I mean, when you're right, you're right.
Yeah. All right. So then let's talk Peach from for the 1970s.
My pitch is Pam Grier.
Oh, that's really good.
From the 90s, known for the Quentin Tarantino film Jackie Brown, but from the 70s was in a lot of like blaxploitation films.
Yeah.
Was like an action star of the era, I guess you could say.
I love this. Pam Grier, Richard Pryor, and Gene Wilder. I don't need to know anything else about this movie.
It would be pretty cool. This is shaking out to be my favorite decade so far.
Yeah, me too. My picks were either Madeline Kahn or Mary Tyler Moore.
Both could be very fun.
Both could be very fun. They have a different energy than the Pam Grier pitch, which is too good.
Yeah, I mean, Pam Grier would be more of, you know, like the post-game Mario Odyssey Peach, where she's like, I have no interest in either of you. I'm going to see the world.
Yeah, totally. Well, and is almost more in line with my Sigourney Weaver pick from the 80s.
Totally.
But I think it definitely works here. I love that. Pam Grier, it's so good. Okay, now we are on to Bowser. This is where I put James Earl Jones.
Okay.
But I would love to see who you've
Gene
got.
Hackman.
Oh yeah, Gene Hackman's great. And he's got like a good villainous energy to him.
Yeah, I mean, he was the villain in Superman.
Yeah, you bet he was. He was Lex Luthor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Although I don't love him as Lex Luthor. He's so silly in that role.
There's never been a good Lex Luthor.
Wow. Okay. True. I mean, profoundly, obviously true, Mark. That's so good.
It's a tough role. Never been written particularly well. Although I have not seen the Superman from the 70s for a very long time, so it's like my vague memories of his performance and not really. I can't say.
I mean, it's not totally dissimilar to Tommy Lee Jones's performance of Two-Face in Batman Forever.
I love that. I love that performance. I love Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever.
All right. Next, we are discussing Donkey Kong, 1970s.
I have John Travolta.
I have John Belushi.
Oh. John Belushi is a really good pick. Again, more of like the himbo energy. Like John Travolta would make him a little more like suave.
Yeah, John Travolta makes him a little more suave. I feel like the Belushi casting is hewing pretty closely to the Seth Rogen casting. Of the
yes.
The
oh my
current
gosh,
film.
totally.
But like Belushi also has that. I mean, again, like I said, there's some like wish fulfillment here where I'm just like, oh yeah, John Belushi, like bring him back from the dead and put him in this movie.
But I also, what hell that would be for John Belushi. But no, I think that's great. I think that's really good. And especially when you're saying that, like, I agree with you that is a great analog for like the Seth Rogen casting.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna put John Belushi. Sell me a little more on Travolta though.
I'm thinking more of like Elvis
like a Saturday
energy.
Night Fever.
Yeah. Like very like suave, very has a lot of like sexual presence.
Yeah. We tend to put a sexual presences in Donkey Kong, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm not comfortable exploring it.
Yeah, probably for the best. But I think self-evident why we don't put it on Toad.
Right. Speaking of, who do you cast? Oh, so we're going with Belushi.
Okay. I think so.
Toad. I'll give my pick is Charles Nelson Riley.
Fun.
So, I mean, maybe hewing a little close to the template that we laid forth in Ed Wynn, but...
Well, Eddie Deason is my pick.
Who is that?
So Eddie Deason is like he's very skinny. He wears glasses and plays like a nerd in like Grease.
Yeah.
In so many movies from like the 70s and 80s, he's like let me pull up a photo.
Okay, yeah.
He's totally a you know him when you see him type character actor who has just been in like a kajillion movies.
All right. Yeah. Quintessential nerd. Up against Charles Nelson Riley, who is like the quintessential like Broadway gay, right? Just so lovable and so funny. Yeah. How do you think we go here?
I think maybe because we already have like that Ed Wynn type character that we go the other direction and we do Charles Nelson Riley.
Okay. So Charles Nelson Riley. All right. Do you have any other like ancillary cast members here for the 1970s? I have none.
Yeah, I don't have any on my list either.
Okay. I feel content with this cast, which remember is Richard Pryor is Mario, Pam Grier is Peach, Gene Wilder is Luigi, Gene Hackman is Bowser, John Belushi is Donkey Kong, and Charles Nelson Riley is Toad. This is a great cast.
It's such a good cast.
It's stacked.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, that's the best one we've done so far. Mark, now let's move on to the aughts. We are moving into more recent memory because we're gonna finish with the 90s. Who do you got for Mario for the aughts, for the 2000s?
I've got to say, the 2000s and the 90s feel very chaotic picks to me.
Yeah, I feel that way too. They feel both more chaotic to me and more corporate.
100%. I feel like it's the 90s and the 2000s, my picks reflect very much what I feel like we saw in the actual Mario movie casting.
Totally.
Where yes, I can totally see how these actors got picked for these roles.
Right.
And so it is like kind of a weird alchemy of them being just like, for the most part, a little bit past their prime.
Yes.
Which is why my 2000s pick, it was, of course, Bruce Willis for Mario. This is where I put Bruce Willis because it's like, career not firing exactly what it was. Had The Sixth Sense a couple of years ago,
right?
But then kind of like
making more Die Hard movies.
Yeah, and so he's like doing Disney's The Kid, and then somehow he ends up in this Mario movie because he's a name you can put on a poster where Mario's like smirking, Bruce Willis in big print underneath it.
I go Ben Stiller. Because this is the decade of Meet the Parents. This is the decade. This is Ben Stiller's decade.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
There's something about Mary was like 98 or 7, something like that, and then like the hits just kind of fall after that. Of like that Ben Stiller is like the number one like comedy male lead in film of the 2000s.
Yeah, especially that like early 2000s.
Totally.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely bridges. Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay. So since we already have Bruce Willis, we used Bruce Willis, right? For the 80s?
Yes.
No. Yes. So we're going to go Ben Stiller for our Mario, which leads us into Peach. Who do you got for Peach?
I have Jennifer Love Hewitt for Peach.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Party of Five, later Ghost Whisperer.
Mm-hmm. Can't Hardly Wait. Although that's 98 or something.
It is the 90s, the late 90s, yeah. But to me, she's like the quintessential early 2000s pick.
Yeah.
Where it's like, she appeals to teens. And this is
right.
a real hip take on Peach.
Mark, you always cast this character young.
She's not that young.
All right, she just reads as young all the time. I have Halle Berry in here, who I don't think would do a good job. I don't think it's good casting.
Hold on, I just have to check to make sure that I'm remembering this correctly because Halle Berry's in Shark Tale, right?
Oh yeah,
that's.
Everyone's in Shark Tale.
Oh
right?
No, it does not look like she is.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like she is. She looks like she's in Dark Tide, a shark movie.
She's in Swordfish, or Operation Swordfish, whatever the name of that movie was.
I think it's just Swordfish.
Project Triangle Strategy. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt is probably a better pick. At least feels more like the character. But Halle Berry was huge in the 2000s, right? Like
Yeah.
this is
Yep.
like late X-Men time. This is, like I said, Swordfish. It's Monsters Ball. It's Catwoman.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I
It
think
was the
Jennifer.
peak of her career.
Yeah, but Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, come on.
Next up is Luigi. I don't love my Luigi pick.
Who's your Luigi pick?
Jeff Foxworthy.
Okay, now that is
You know
interesting.
you're a resident of the Mushroom Kingdom.
What makes you put him in the 2000s out of curiosity? Because he's never like a movie star.
He's not a movie star. I guess I just think of reruns of who's smarter? Are you smarter than a fifth grader on
Okay.
country music television?
I take my pull from the TV show Scrubs,
Like where this is going.
and I couldn't decide if I liked Donald Faison or Zach Braff better. They're both excellent Luigi energy.
They are. I
like Donald Faison better, but I think Zach Braff is the more
Zach
Luigi
Braff is
type.
more of the like. I think Zach Braff is more of the like 2000s pick.
Yeah.
'Cause that is also his peak, right?
Yeah,
that is
totally.
like Zach Braff is Braff at the height of his powers as like a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me how snugly's Scrubs fits in the into this decade. It starts in 2001, ends in 2009. Like it's like Scrubs, you are only available in this decade.
Yeah.
But you know that's also the era of like Garden State, and whatever else he was doing. So I feel like Zach Braff is probably the pick.
Yeah, Zach Braff was culture in the early 2000s. As hard as that is to believe.
Mark Bowser.
Who's your Bowser pick?
So I don't love my Bowser pick, but I go Antonio Banderas. Because you know this is when he sort of got his like renaissance of like doing. I mean, this is Puss in Boots. And this is the Spy Kids. So this is that's I go Antonio Banderas here.
That's really funny. I think he could make a really, really good Bowser. Mine is kind of a cheat. I think it's Jack Black. I think Jack Black is timeless. Yeah. He makes as much sense in the early 2000s as he makes today.
Mark, it's unprecedented, but I think we're gonna go with Jack Black for the 2000s.
If I were casting the Mario movie in the 2000s, you know that Jack Black would be in the mix.
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna kill it in the movie. He may as well also kill it in this theoretical 2000s version. Who do you got for Donkey Kong?
This is a cameo in the vein of
Elvis.
Elvis or Babe Ruth. Martin Scorsese is Donkey Kong.
Okay, so this is a real Shark's Tale move.
This is a real Shark's Tale move.
Yeah.
Yep. We know he's not too good for it.
Right, you just throw enough money at him and like he'll be fine with it. This is another one where I split. I don't like either of these picks. I'm gonna just this first one that I wrote here. I'm gonna throw it away.
Okay,
it's no good. It was Heath Ledger. It's no good. Let's not talk about it. But the second pick here, maybe not bad. Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. Okay,
maybe a little too close to the Seth Rogen pick, and then also makes me wonder why don't we just put Seth Rogen here?
I think
because Seth Rogen is also the Seth Rogen of the 2000s.
Now, this is not a. I mean, that's a strong argument. This is not to besmirch any of our picks.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we just throw out all three of these, and we need to come up with something that we like feel better about.
Okay.
For Donkey Kong, because what kind of Donkey Kong are we casting in
Great
the 2000s?
Yeah.
Right.
Donkey Kong in the 2000s. So definitely in the like Donkey Kong Country mold.
Right. Yep.
And
sorry, remind me who our Mario is.
Our Mario is Ben Stiller.
So we have Ben Stiller. We have Jennifer Love Hewitt. This is what I mean when it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Luigi is
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. Our Bowser is Jack Black. So really, Donkey Kong could be literally anybody.
Will Ferrell.
I love that so
much. Or
much.
John C. Reilly. I feel like take your pick.
So the reason I go Will Ferrell is because I think he does like bravado And whereas I feel like John C. Reilly is
Yeah, it's more
like,
muted. Yeah, I agree with that. And again, it is a slightly different Donkey Kong, right? He is neither, and this is no longer a cameo character. He's now like the whole movie.
Yeah,
everyone else is featuring in a Will Ferrell movie. Yeah, no, this works. And then who do you have for Toad?
Eddie Murphy.
Oh, that's good. I had Sarah Silverman, but
oh, that's also really good.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Although that sort of runs into her princess, whatever her name is from Wreck-It Ralph.
I mean, Eddie Murphy is in Shrek,
Yeah.
and he would be playing the same exact character as Toad. It's almost a reality where like Shrek didn't happen, and like Mario was the Shrek of the 2000s.
Mario was the Shrek of the 2000s. Yeah, I mean that's a great point. Well, how do you want to go here? I'm happy with either one.
Proposal.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy is Toad. Sarah Silverman is Toadette.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Also, I like how frequently we're casting Toadette.
My favorite Toad.
Toadette is Silverman. Did you have any other characters, any of the ancillary characters that you wanted to cast for the 2000s? I feel like I did. Let me check my list. Oh, just that Rosalina would be Cate Blanchett.
Yep. That is perfect.
I was trying to find places for other Lord of the Rings actors, but I just like who would Orlando Bloom play, you know, or like Viggo Mortensen. I don't know.
I don't know either. Both I feel like both of them don't have, not that this has stopped companies from casting bland voices in animated films, but I don't feel like either of them really have like the energy necessarily to bring to an animated movie.
Okay, so here's what we've got for the 2000s. We've got our Mario played by Ben Stiller. Peach is Jennifer Love Hewitt. Luigi is Zach Braff. Bowser is still Jack Black. Donkey Kong is Will Ferrell. Toad is Eddie Murphy. Toadette is Sarah Silverman. And Rosalina is Cate Blanchett.
It's perfect.
Why does this one make me feel bad?
I told
it
you
makes me
chaotic.
feel dirty.
It's chaotic. It's too true.
Yeah.
Is the problem. Yeah. It's like if we can squeeze Oprah Winfrey into one of these, it's basically like the cast of, Open Season or something like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Mark, we are now moving into the 1990s. Where I may have overcast this one in that I've got like too many picks in here. But 1990s, who do you got for Mario?
Okay, I have to preface this by saying that this version of Mario, just like I was saying that Mario would like subsume Shrek in the 2000s.
Sure.
You have to imagine that there's a universe where Toy Story doesn't exist.
Oh.
But the Mario movie takes the place of like the groundbreaker that Toy Story was. Which is why I have a duo here in Mario as Tom Hanks and Luigi as Tim Allen.
Wow. That's tough to argue against. Let me give you my Mario.
Yeah.
My Mario is Will Smith, because when I think of leading men in the 90s, my mind it's Will Smith. It's Will Smith all the way. He's a funny guy who became an action hero. It's the Chris Pratt model. My Luigi, this is where I have like two picks. I couldn't decide. I have Robin Williams on here, which he could also go anywhere. Robin Williams could play any of these characters. Yep. But the other Luigi pick, and I feel like this is maybe just too good to ignore, is Ray Romano.
Interesting. I think of Ray Romano as more an early 2000s guy.
Okay, I guess that is fair. That is fair. So I'm willing to let that go.
But that's a good. It's a good pick. It's a very good pick.
So Tom Hanks and Tim Allen.
Well, remind me who your Mario was.
Will Smith.
Okay, so I feel like Will Smith trumps all.
Yeah.
But may I posit?
Yes.
That Tim Allen gets the cut. Sorry, Tim. Tom Hanks
becomes Luigi.
Slots into the Luigi spot.
See, I think that's right, because even though if we just like put Tim Allen and Tom Hanks up next to each other, like star power to star power, Tom Hanks takes it. He's more Luigi.
You're
and
totally right.
Tim Allen
Woody
is more Mario.
is more Luigi than he is Mario.
Yes.
Yep.
So, okay, I like this. We're splitting the ticket. Mario is Will Smith, and Luigi is Tom Hanks. Go ahead.
I just wish we lived in a universe where Will Smith was Mario, because I would do terrible things for the like over credits song that
Oh
Will
my
Smith would have wrote for
yes.
the Super Mario movie.
Oh my God. Do the Mario.
Oh, that would have been
That's
so
so good.
good.
That's so good. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Who do you have for Peach?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
What a good pick. Again, a little bit more of like an action Peach. Catherine Zeta-Jones is a great pick. I have Winona Ryder.
Also very good.
A
Also
different
very
different
good.
energy though,
Yeah,
right?
completely.
Like quieter.
A little more sarcastic,
Yeah,
probably.
definitely more sarcastic.
More
Um,
jaded.
Catherine Zeta-Jones though, I want to see that. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do.
Well, let's go with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Zeta-Jones.
Always fun to remind people that Catherine Zeta-Jones, super
Exists.
white. She's from
Yeah.
Wales.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Yep.
Just the whitest. Bowser.
Jeremy Irons.
Oh, no, that is interesting. Also interesting what I'm about to say. Mike Myers.
Oh.
Again, this is maybe in a universe where both Toy Story and Shrek get
Doesn't
obliterated.
exist.
But also like a little bit of an Austin Powers,
Uh-huh.
Dr. Evil energy here in the Mike
Yeah,
Myers.
that feels so right for Bowser. I like Mike Myers a lot. That's
Yeah.
a good pick.
And almost a borderline Jack Black energy too,
Uh-huh.
right?
Totally.
But I almost feel like this could also be a place for Robin Williams.
I have Robin Williams on my list as well.
Okay, well we'll hold it.
Okay.
So Mike Myers as Bowser, Donkey Kong.
I have Pauly Shore.
Oh, Mark, I love that. I hate it, but I love it. It's so good. Let me give you my
Uh-huh.
let me give you my pick, and then we can argue the merits.
Uh-huh.
Chris Farley.
I see it.
So Chris Farley is all. It's
Here's where
Yeah.
where I would say that Chris Farley for me fits more in the Toad role.
okay.
Just because I think like he has that sort of like panicked like but eager to please energy that I feel like Toad has, that Toads have.
Yeah, sure. The Chris Farley show energy, the talking to Paul McCartney and being like, "Hey, do you remember Beatlemania? That was awesome."
Uh-huh.
Like, that's good. That's better Toad than it is Donkey Kong. Pauly Shore, man, that's inspired and obnoxious, and I
'Cause-
hate every second of
I
it.
mean, because I just think of this Donkey Kong
Yeah.
as being more of like a burnout.
It's the Seth Rogen Donkey
He's
Kong.
wearing
Yeah.
like plaid.
Yeah.
This is the 90s, so really into Nirvana.
Yeah, Pauly Shore. I think that's it. I think there's no arguing any other way. Do we want to then go for Toad as Chris Farley, or do you have Toad as someone else?
I had Toad as Robin Williams.
Okay. I had Toad as Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh,
Every single one of
excellent.
these picks is perfect.
Really excellent casting. Really, yeah. Oh my gosh. I kind of think that actually for Toad, Jerry Seinfeld's probably right.
Yeah, and it feels like off the path, right?
Mhm.
But like if Toad can just like sarcastically comment on everything that's happening, like and make weird little observations
Yeah.
about what's strange about the Mushroom Kingdom, I think our Toad is going to be Jerry Seinfeld. Breaks my heart a little bit to not have a place for Chris Farley, but maybe we can find one for him. Any ancillary cast members, ancillary characters?
The only thing I wanted to pitch here is that the music and lyrics should be by Elton John and Tim Rice.
Yeah, I think that's
because I
yeah.
think this is for sure a musical, and there is 100% a ballad between Catherine Zeta-Jones and
Will Smith.
uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And then I think who is our Luigi? Tom
Hanks.
I guess he's not really a singer, so maybe. But Mike Myers has a song.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The only thing that I would want to pitch on top of this cast wise is that Dana Carvey has to play one of the dorkier Koopa kids.
Oh, for sure.
To be, and I mean, let's just take everyone who's in Mike Myers' orbit and make them the rest of the Koopa kids, right? Like Seth Green can be one of them, and just whatever, just fill it out.
Yeah, maybe Chris Farley is Roy.
Yeah,
The coolest of the Koopa kids.
yeah, I like that. And then we can throw like Spade and Sandler in there as other Koopa kids. So it's just the cast of 90s SNL. Get Seth Green out of there. I don't care anymore. All right. So our cast for the 90s is Mario is Will Smith, Peach is Catherine Zeta-Jones, Luigi is Tom Hanks, Bowser is Mike Myers, Donkey Kong is Pauly Shore, and Toad is Jerry Seinfeld. Music and lyrics by Elton John and Tim Rice. And the cast of 90s SNL as the Koopa Kids. Mark, I think we nailed it.
Yeah, like Janine Garofalo is probably one of the like Wendy O. Koopa or something.
And we can even go like late into the 90s too. Like let's get like Sherry O'Terry in there and Molly Shannon. Like let's I love it. And there can be, look, we can have extra Koopa kids. Let's just invent some Koopa kids. All right, Mark, we did a pretty good job here of casting the Mario movie in various decades. Let's close this out. Are there any obvious picks that we missed? There probably are, but I think we also did a very good job, Mark. I think we did a great job. If you have any suggestions for us here, email us nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. And this will maybe be the last time we talk about the Mario casting for a while. I feel like it's been a topic, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I think we've it is what it is, and so I'm at peace with it.
Yeah.
I still feel like we have zero clue what this movie is going to be.
Yeah. We have zero clue what it's going to be, and I can tell you that it's not going to be Pryor, Greer, Wilder.
Oh, that one hurts.
Oh, man. That'd be so good. Oh. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you should share it on Facebook or Twitter. Wherever you share stuff, it helps us out tremendously when you do. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKA Mitchell, and the show is at Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.
Imagine a podcast. Now, imagine a musical. Now, imagine the two of them made 1 million babies. Well, you don't have to imagine it, because it's real, and it has a name. 1 million musicals. Each month, we bring you a brand new, original podcast musical featuring talent from across Broadway, films, and TV. You'll hear tales of spooky ghosts, Wild West shootouts, adventures on the high seas, and much, much more. 1 million musicals. Only a few 100,000 to go.
A Campfire Media podcast.
Campfire.